Hey everyone, so if you see a little critter right here, this is Luna, my kitty. She's doing a lot better these days, knock on wood. Tell you, my life got a lot better. One of the things that I've done a lot is I knock on wood constantly. Whenever I have to look into that folklore or whatever of knocking on wood, but for me, it's a way of stopping something from seeping into your subconscious and being buried in there, and then it plays out in real life and you don't even know you caused that problem by subliminal, like a subliminal that goes into subconscious and becomes a law of attraction type of thing in your life and manifests. So uh let me get back on track what I was doing. So I just wanted to do an update. I haven't been updating on this channel because social media is very discouraging. It's designed to be that way. And so if I'm not naturally getting views, then I just gotta stay away from it. I don't want to fall in the trap I've always done with my channels. I had one kind of new agey truther channel a few years ago. It was kind of short lived. I don't even know if it lasted a year. I technically still have one regarding my health issues, which I don't update that often, but um yeah, so I still have that, but I don't try with that. But and I had a gaming channel that I tried really hard with. So, I know about YouTube and that trap of like you see low amount of views and your brain will naturally go to, well, people don't like me, or I'm not interesting, or I'm worthless. So, um and I used to for a very long time think that was my fault, but then I've realized, unfortunately slowly, but I've realized that over the years, these social media platforms, they are designed to bring out that neurosis and tie you in with their narcissistic paths. Social media is, it is one of those things where it is a tool and it depends on how you use it. So, but a lot of people are ignorant and broken and have darkness in their life. Many people, and people that would say they don't, you know, I would say a lot. I'll say this: everyone born on this planet has ignorance. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit today. Birds outside are distracting me now. So, yeah, so I think that's my thing is like I see like, oh, a low amount of views, and I have those bad thoughts of like, yeah, I'm worthless and I'm not good for anything, you know. So, um I just want to stay away, and I'll just post like now where I don't really care about the views. So, yeah, because I just want to express my spirituality in any way that I can. And um I would say if I was to make my channel a theme of anything, it would definitely be what I started with. And I started with subliminal um affirmation videos, and that took quite a bit of effort to make. Um and some work more than others, I think, for me personally. And I just made them really for me. I just wanted a place where, because I don't trust other people's frequency videos or subliminal videos. I don't trust that. You have to really, because of course subliminal, you don't know what you're getting into when someone else makes it. So that's why I started the channel originally. But they were really hard to make, and I think I made a few that are always going to be relevant at any point in time. I could make more, but I think what happened last summer was that they worked too well for me, and I was spiritually evolving way too fast. I could feel it. And it was kind of good, but it was definitely out of my zone. So you get a straddle because we're still playing out our lives. We need to work within our karma. And I think that was my problem. I was going faster than uh, I should, or that I came here for. And so I just wanted to talk actually a little bit, like I said, about what I think, you know, ignorance versus a knowing and knowledge. But I'll just say a sense of knowing. What is there's a Claire, is it Claire, Claire cognizant maybe? I can't remember. But there's like, when you, like, it's an inner knowing, it's something, it's like an intuition. Um, but we'll just stick with the simplistics, ignorance versus a knowing. Because I don't like knowledge. Knowledge makes it sound very mind based, very uh like, yeah, mind based. You're researching visually and mentally, doing those types of things. So a knowing is more of a intuition and inner knowing, based definitely for me on experience. But I tried to think of, because I also believe in past lives, karma, and free will. And I think about, souls recycling time and time again. And I try to think about, well, what is the commonality that we live in today? What is the biggest, highest level that I can say I can relate, that people can all relate with? It is ignorance. It is through and through ignorance. It is the unwillingness to find truth. It is, now those of us, I think many of us have the opportunity. So people that are like us, who seek truth in whatever form that may be, but we know that, like, what we get through mainstream, what we brought up and been told, um, is not true, or certainly a very small part of the truth, and there's a wider thing that's not being talked about, so we seek it, right? So, um, so I think that I think that that is something that we all can say we've been born into. We are, and because when I think about this stuff more, how much I see the potential for humans, the with the stuff that we just really don't know, the stuff we rely too much on government for, like relying on NASA to tell us about the universe. Like, there's not, and it's everything. And science seems very, like, what I hear, this is what I'm going to say in general. People that have always relied on science have a void of their spirit, because if they did have their spirit, you would have the inner knowingness. You wouldn't have to uh spend centuries building technology to find the truth. The truth is within. So the more you delve into that science, mental only, left brain path, the more you go into that, the more darkness and unknown that you're going to feel. Now, for me, I hit my breaking point with that. I mean, it's been a slow breaking process for many years, but really 2015 for me personally was when I do think that I have a higher self, which I think my higher self is actually the future. Our higher selves, I think, are our most evolved spiritual form in which we can connect to, um but it is our future self that actually knows how to time travel, and it can time travel through the thought plane, etheric plane, and we can communicate that way. So it's, in a way, I don't want to say meeting halfway, but at least evolving spiritually to a point where you realize that physical world is really the lowest form, and there's so much more higher, and then you're open to that, and you have to work on your vices, your deadly sins, and work towards virtues, and that is and work through especially your fears, and that's when you shed that darkness, and um and you become, like I said, knowledgeable. That's where you get your knowledge and knowing from, is shedding that fear by surrendering or facing it. I think are two different things, or both. But so yeah, that in a nutshell to me is the process of spiritually evolving away from ignorance. Um so that's what I'm saying, is like, ignorance is something that many of us, everyone, I think relates to. I think that especially if you were to, in this timeline, in this time and place, if you were to as of right now, this is what I believe. If you were to evolve um to your highest potential, you would not need your body anymore, which is what I felt last um last summer. Was, it felt like I didn't need a body anymore. Like we are only born in the physical body here at this time because of the ignorance. So I was like going faster than I could handle, and I had that knowingness of what that was. That there is a completion, there is a way that you do not have to be reborn as a soul, at least in the ignorant timeline. So I think that's all we can really do, um, is, like, through everything I say, shed that ignorance. I had some debate with people on, like, I'll just say, for example, and this goes with fear as well, but the jab thing going around. Um, I actually think that at this time, it's actually been a theory for a while now, that for me, for months and months, that the jab is probably just water, probably not even real. It's probably just another strain of, what they've been always doing yearly. You know what I'm talking about. So I think that it doesn't have that significance. I think the bad press about the JJ thing, there's the six and one that went, trying not to get censored or whatever. But like I said, doesn't matter, I guess. So I think that could be totally manufactured. That bad news, just to make people think that it's real. It's such a topsy turvy world, because I feel like all they're trying to do is make you think that this is real. And what better way is to say, well, because in real life, the jabs that they always done have a small percentage of it. So now it's like, well, they have to say it, because, like, not 100% are going to be fine, because if you are, then that makes you think it's not a real thing. So it's like, so here's my thing. I've been thinking that the whole time the jab is an actual test for us, that people that get the jab, and not even like DNA, I'm saying just spiritually, you are kind of like, okay, you're not ready yet to move to the next level of awakening. You're not ready. And I do think a lot of that is true. I think that this is a test. The people that hold out and don't get the jab will be presented with new challenges to move forward, and the others will continue having the same, and they will either double down on these bad, ignorant decisions, or, it's just going to take them more time to wake up, and they'll just have to keep redoing the same old problems of trusting in the government, making these bad decisions. And so I think, as for the future, I think that the controllers, I think at this stage, I don't want to say they're good, but it's in a way like when you kind of feel like there is this grand karma from each person, but on a human level, there's just this great karma, and the uprising has to come from the knowingness. It has to do from the inner work. If everyone had done inner work, the last year, like we all have. Looking at people wouldn't get the jab. Number one, they would everyone would just awaken. They would call out people. People would be helping each other who were cast aside for not being masked. I'll say that. So, that would just happen. People would just be good people. Our definition of good people, right? People that help one another, who are altruistic, who put themselves at harm's way for other people, but also the legacy of our ancestors and what we've tried to build a better humanity to, right? So I'm getting a little lost with my lofty words, but I just wanted to drive the point that let me go back because I get so sidetracked. So what I'm saying is I think that, okay, we'll just for conversation's sake say that the controllers are good, actually, but they're doing their best with. Of course, there's many opportunists who are bad, but the ultimate controllers are good at this point. It's just that because of the karma, they can't disrupt that. It's universal law. And I know I've said that before, that sounds a little too convenient, but all I've ever seen, that is what makes more sense to me. It doesn't make sense. If they were all evil, we would be gone by now. There are laws, universal laws that they have to work around. And so I think there's always this light and dark fighting. And I think that the light is in control. It's just that the people have to see through the deception, the illusion. And I think it's just becoming more obvious and more obvious. And at some point, you're going to have to really be trying to look away. You're going to want that ignorance. And I just think that many people don't want ignorance anymore. We see where ignorance leads us. We feel lonely, depressed. We make bad decisions constantly. We're hurting, pain, suffering. That's ignorance. I mean, I feel like I have had huge changes manifesting around me, but for conversation's sake, I'm in a relationship for the first time in my life. And I think that this other person is on a higher timeline than I am. And I'm still kind of I'm kind of like on the edge of his timeline, so it's been kind of a learning experience to. It's like when someone treats you really well, you're kind of like, really, I don't deserve that. But then it's like, no, we all deserve to be treated well, and we shouldn't be questioning it to the point where, we have a knowingness that the person's a good person and they're being genuine. There's no reason to be suspicious. So at that point, it is my problem. It's an old timeline. So yeah, it's an opportunity being in this relationship. And I knew this kind of thing would happen. I've never been in a relationship, and I knew that it would only happen when I need to grow. And so that is my growing thing right now. I am disappointed I gained like 15 pounds back that I lost last year, that I strove to lose after my second surgery with my stomach. So I've been disappointed recently and just being like, why am I still, again, suffering the same problems? Round and round, here we go. But I think I'm learning, and again, the knowingness, it's like, okay, again, to wrap this up, the knowingness is like, I'm not working out and dieting because I fear being unhealthy. It's just, I know from experience, if I eat poorly and don't exercise and don't get sunlight and I don't walk, I just sit around, like, there's a knowingness now that that is bad for me, and it's going to end up in a bad result. Now, because we keep going in these cycles and repeating the same themes over and over, because we need that knowingness. We need to jump out of ignorance. So the ignorant people, they don't see any correlation or little correlation with all the bad in their life. But I have like looked at every problem and I would go, I can relate every problem pretty much under the same thing. or like very similar themed things. There's like really, so it makes it less chaotic that way, and you just realize you're going to keep repeating the same mistakes until you evolve. So yeah, I'm in a cycle again with my health. Um, that I have a knowingness now. If I continue that timeline, I'm gonna hit those boundaries again, and it's gonna result in more pain because it always does that just to wake me up. So that's all I wanted to say. Is it's so my other challenge right now is I'm looking at everything at like let's say I was eating processed food earlier, and I'm at the stage where I'm straddling my third dimensional and fourth dimensional self. So my third dimensional self is impulsive, says, well, I know it's processed, but I don't care. I want to eat it. I don't I don't care who made it. I don't care what's in it, but it tastes really good, and I just need that to fulfill me right now at this moment. And then the fourth dimensional self, that's what I'm practicing right now because I can't just get rid of my third dimensional mentality, spirit. And so I'm trying, the fourth dimensional self is saying, yes, fine, you can eat this processed food, but tell yourself as you're eating it, this is processed food. And I've heard that before. People would say, about a year ago, hearing people, it's like, if you eat meat, you should pray for the meat that you're eating, pray for the life that you're eating. And I kind of got that idea from that. And that comes and goes when I remember to do that. So it's kind of along the same lines as to remove ignorance. I need to call it out. Like, yeah, I'm being ignorant right now. I'm eating processed food. I'm eating more than I should. And I know that, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to do it because the third dimensional self kind of still hasn't learned all the lessons yet, but I'm at least willing to call that out. And I had some say that, calling out the ignorance is a fear, another fear thing. I mean, I get it, like, it's because my basis is, well, I don't want to, I fear, my biggest fear is being reincarnated in a timeline like this, and nothing that's just better than this, in a timeline like of ignorance, a timeline of being in that Ouroboros endless cycle, if I'm using that term right. So, the infinity loop, like it's like, I don't think that works anymore. I think that every time we are reincarnated, we are carrying over something that is we learn, and I'm learning, like, I don't want it anymore. I want something else. I want something better. So so I get what they were saying is like, well, if that's your basis of calling out the ignorance, then you're still in fear. But I think what I was saying before is, no, I'm saying it more from a knowledge standpoint. Like, I know at this stage, ignorance needs to be called out. There's a knowingness. It's not fear. That's not my ignorance. It's not fear. It's this knowingness that, you gotta call it out. So anyway, this is why people don't watch my videos, because they go over 20 minutes and no one knows me. So, I just wish that, like, it's just funny because it's like social media, but we're not really social, right? So anyway, I'm going to end it now. Thank you for listening.